because this is the part that caught my attention that made me to think, okay, let me read some of this to y'all. How do you measure commitment? Is it the willingness to take a day out of life and sacrifice it to history? To plunge for one morning or one afternoon into the unknown? To engage in one solitary act of defiance against all the arrayed power of established society? Then, tens of thousands of young people, mostly black, some white, have committed themselves these past 4 years by the simple act of joining a demonstration. Is commitment more than that? The willingness to wrench yourself out of your environment and begin anew, almost alone, in a social jungle which the most powerful forces in the nation have not dared to penetrate. Then the number is reduced to 16. Those 16 college youngsters who, in the fall of 1961, decided to drop everything, school and family and approved ambition, and move into the Deep South to become the first guerrilla fighters of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. I just want to pause here and say this language around them stopping everything, or dropping everything rather, including approved ambition. I like that language. By the early 1964, the number was up to 150. So the paragraph before, he said it was 16. Now he's saying by early 1964, the number was up to 150. In the most heated days of abolitionism before the Civil War, there were never that many dedicated people who turned their backs on ordinary pursuits and gave their lives wholly to the movement. There were William Lloyd Garrison and Wendell Phillips and Theodore Weld and Frederick Douglass and Sojourner Truth and a handful of others. And there were hundreds of part-time abolitionists and thousands of followers. But for 150 youngsters today to turn on their past, to decide to live and work 24 hours a day in the most dangerous region of the United States is cause for wonder. And wherever they have come from, the Negro colleges of the South, the Ivy League universities of the North, the small and medium colleges all over the country, they have left ripples of astonishment behind. This college generation as a whole is not committed by any means. I'm going to read that sentence again because we hear a lot of narratives about what young people were doing in the 50s and 60s. Howard Zinn says, this college generation as a whole is not committed by any means, but it has been shaken. These 150, who next year will be 250 or more, because the excitement grows daily on the college campuses, are the new abolitionists. It is not fanciful to invest with them a name that has the ring of history. We are always shy about recognizing the historic worth of events when they take place before our eyes, about recognizing heroes when they are still flesh and blood and not yet transfixed in marble. But there is no doubt about it. We have in this country today a movement which will take its place alongside that of the abolitionists, the populists, the progressives, and may outdo them all. Just a little more. Their youth makes us hesitant to recognize their depth. But the great social upsurge of post-war America is the Negro Revolt, and this revolt has gotten its most powerful impetus from young people who gave it a new turn in 1960 and today, as anonymous as infantrymen everywhere, formed the first rank in a non-violent but ferocious war against the old order. It would be easy to romanticize them, but they are too young, too vulnerable, too humanly frail to fit the stereotype of heroes. They don't match the storybook martyrs who face death with silent stoicism. The young fellows sometimes cry out when they are beaten. The girls may weep when abused in prison. Most often, however, they sing. This was true of the farmer and labor movements in this country and of all the wars, but there has never been a singing movement like this one. Perhaps it is because most of them were brought up on the gospel songs and hymns of the Negro church in the South. Perhaps also because they are young. Probably most of all, because what they are doing inspires song. They have created a new gospel music out of the old, made up of songs adopted or written in jail or on the picket line. Every battle station in the Deep South now has its freedom chorus, and the mass meetings there end with everyone standing, led by youngsters of SNCC, linking arms and singing, "We shall overcome."